Broadcasting from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Gas South Convention Center in Duluth, Georgia. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank. Start building your financial confidence at Regions Bank. Member FDIC, an equal housing member.
Greetings and salutations, loyal listeners of Gwinnett Business Radio here on Business RadioX. It's your slightly annoying host, Stephen Julian. Welcome to another, hopefully one day soon, award-winning edition yet again of Gwinnett Business Radio on Business RadioX, broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studios inside the beautiful, stunning Gas South District Convention Center. Happy to have Dan as the producer. I think Dan wants to re-record his intro because he's not playing it lately. But seated to my right is my co-host, Harper LaBelle. Harper, welcome to the studio.
So you're glad that Dan's here. Does that mean you're glad that Mike's not here?
No, Mike's here. He's back in his cubicle.
I know, but are you
We'll
glad?
see if we get him to stand up and come out and glare at us. But
He's only going to glare at us when we near
At the
the
end.
end of the show.
he might do it at the beginning
it's
if we
time to
keep
wrap
talking
up.
like this.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
he's
think
already
so.
stood up. Oh, he's throwing things at us. All right, we are not here for Mike shenanigans or for Harper and I to irritate Mike. We are really here for our guests. We're very excited to have Brad Gordon from Penon Partners and Dr. Randy Rizor from the Rizor Institute. So we are going to start by talking to Brad. Does that sound like a good idea, Harper?
I think, thank you for consulting me. Let's get Brad on to tell us what we're going to do.
You're a valued member and partner of this show, so that's why I consulted you. Speaking of valued partners or valued members or people who do valuable work, Brad Gordon is the Human Resources Practice Leader at Penon Partners. Brad, welcome to the studio. We've locked the doors. You can't get out.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Penon Partners, tell us all about what you guys do.
Yes, Penon Partners was started in 2016. We are a French-American consulting firm, and we're boutique. But we serve clients both U.S. and international. We really focus on maximizing operational efficiency to help companies profitably grow.
Okay.
So that's a fancy way of saying that we help companies solve their most challenging problems and help their business to grow. And we do that with our talented consultants who are former business executives. We're not career consultants. We are business executives that have been inside companies in the hot seat, working internally. And we have, for whatever reason, transitioned into consulting, and we provide our services to our clients. Where we really focus is helping international companies to set up their business operations in the U.S. That is, to use the golf term, that's our sweet spot.
Okay.
And for me specifically, I help companies with their human resources practice because these European companies, they come over and they try to run their business and their HR and their people like they do in Europe, and it doesn't translate.
Right.
So I help them to translate.
So you kind of gave one specific service and example in kind of your area of expertise in human resources. What are some of the other main services? What are some of the key pain points that a company would find themselves, and you guys would be able to address those and really help in your consulting business?
Yes, absolutely. So in addition to human resources, we also focus in operations, finance, and IT. And the services that we provide, we help companies diagnose and assess their problems. We help with execution. And then we provide interim leadership and coaching. And I really want to focus on that second point because some consultants come in and they've got the fancy PowerPoints and they do the advice giving, but they're not executing. That's not Penon Partners. We do fancy PowerPoints sometimes when it's needed, and we do the coaching and consulting, but where we really thrive is helping companies to take their strategy and execute that strategy. And so we get into the weeds. We're doing business process. We're doing organizational structure. We are helping them to set up systems that are scalable to help them grow and thrive here.
You talked about one great niche is companies that are coming from overseas here to America, and specifically, I would think here in Georgia that you're helping with. But I wonder if the reverse is also true. Are you also are you working or have you found companies here locally or here in the United States that want to expand into Europe? And again, because you have a location in Paris as well as here, you can help them with that other transition of doing the exact reverse of what you mentioned in your first answer.
Absolutely. So my partner, our CEO, JC Laurent, he is based in Paris, and he is very active in the business community in Paris, and he does work with companies that are setting up shop there as well. So it is goes both ways.
Brad, what's interesting to me is, one, you have fancy PowerPoints. I know Stephen wants that. He's very impressed with that, especially if they have a lot of bright colors and some other things. Look, right there, squirrel. But also, not just am I going to change the interior colors from either gray to a light brown or something like that. We're talking about real serious things, land purchasing or leasing and buildings, and how we're going to put a lot of our structure together, which worked in one place, and we're trying to do it here in the Atlanta area because of the airport and everything. I would imagine an international city like Atlanta, you mentioned the sweet spot. This is a great place to be for businesses that are looking to thrive here in the United States.
Yes.
But there's cultural issues as well. Talk a little bit about what some of the main differences would be in that, like hours of operation. Mm-hmm. I know in Spain that they take long lunches and they take a nap and they do things completely different than we do here. What are some of the challenges that you've come across to say, listen, we can help with this, and this is where we're going to be able to assist you so that you get more productivity out of everything that we're trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. To address your first point, we do have a client that we are helping select a site in the U.S. That maximizes their ability to attract and retain quality workers, is cost effective from a tax perspective, and has a good market. So we have a client where we are helping with that logistical challenge of where to set up. To your point, the cultural differences are huge. And I'll give you an example. I'm working currently with a French company. They're in the media and communications industry. And they were...
Do they do podcasts?
They don't.
Oh, man. See, we were already up on them, Steve. Good for us.
They're not a competitor.
Yeah. Okay.
They were running their business very similarly to how they were running it in France in the U.S. And I'll give you a specific example. I helped them to create an employee engagement survey. And in this survey, they wanted 100% participation. And in France, in Asia, where they also operate, the reasons that people would take an employee engagement survey are very different than why they would take one in the U.S. And what I told them is they need to have an engagement survey that has actionable results at the end of the survey. So Americans will only take the survey if they think that something will be done with their feedback. Versus in Asia, for example, where we also operate, they will do it because their management told them to do it. And so that is not the case here. And so in addition to rolling out this employee engagement survey, I also help them implement action plans that will change their business and give the employees a sense that something will be done with their feedback. That's one example.
Sure, absolutely. So your involvement means sometimes you have to push the CEO or the CFO in a way that they don't like to be pushed, and we may need to do things a little bit differently. How's that process been for you specifically? I know you're with HR, you're constantly dealing with people and how they are best utilized in a specific business environment.
Yes, the CEOs and CFOs that I've worked with have always, being they're European, have had a good appreciation of these cultural differences and doing business differently in the U.S. and hired me for that reason. So they knew what they were getting when I came in, a different perspective, a different way of doing things. And they encourage that and value that, even if they don't know the tactics of how to get those things done.
And more often than not, I would imagine you have multiple options that are available, and you help them figure out which one is best, obviously, for their specific situation, correct?
Absolutely. So as part of our services, I mentioned earlier, number one, diagnosing and assessing, then executing. So it's ensuring that I'm giving them cost-effective solutions that they can implement.
You brought up execution a couple times in the answers. I'm assuming that's one of the major ways that Penon Partners differs from some of their worthy/unworthy competitors. I won't make you say which ones are worthy and which ones are unworthy, but is that one of the big kind of value adds, the selling points that you guys will focus on? Is, hey, we're going to be there through the execution step as well?
Absolutely. So I have mentioned it because it's important. It is a differentiator. I mentioned earlier that Penon consultants are former business executives.
Right.
We are not career consultants, and we've been in those seats before, and we can execute on that strategy because we've done the job before. And we also offer competitive rates. So as an example, we don't charge the same rates as Deloitte and some of the other big consulting names. However, many of our consultants have worked at Deloitte or worked with Deloitte in their executive function. Mm-hmm. So we are able to provide high quality consulting work at a reasonable price to our clients. And we are involved in the execution, which is very helpful. So we are helping them, as I mentioned, policies, procedures, training programs, systems, making sure dashboards, making sure that they can measure their progress. Those are things that we offer.
If there are 99 or 100 things, you're going to go over all 99 where they may stop in the mid-80s. Oh, we got this done. We got it handled. You're going to say, oh, wait, there's still more,
Yes.
right? There's more?
Absolutely.
Right.
Another advantage of Penon Partners is we specialize, as I mentioned, in interim leadership. And many of my clients I work with on a fractional basis. And so a client will come to me and say, hey, we have these HR challenges and we need an executive to solve them. However, we don't have the budget for a CHRO, a Chief Human Resources Officer, and we actually don't need somebody 5 days a week. We need somebody 2 days a week or 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. And so the fractional leadership model is very successful for those companies because they can get the executive level leadership and they can get the results that they desire without having to spend the budget and make the commitment of a full-time hire.
Would you say that that's customizing? What's your preferred way of documenting something like that? You know, instead of 5 days a week, full-time, you know, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars, we can budget it within what you are able to afford and what you need, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk with our potential clients and doing our business development, we really listen to what they need. And even if they are presenting maybe a full-time need, to be fair to the client, we might say, hey, we think that we could be more efficient than this and do it in 3 days. It's not the best, revenue generating, but it leads to better outcomes because a lot of our clients renew with us. Yeah. So they might hire for 6 months, but then they say, hey, this is going really well. We like the result. We like the service. We like the price. We're going to go for another 6 months. So we might take a little bit of a hit on the front end to get that long-term relationship. And once we're also in the firm, I listen and I hear the CFO say, gosh, we have this finance challenge. Well, guess what? Penon Partners has a finance element to it. So we then come and help them with their finance challenges. So it just builds from there.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's great that you're able to do that, little specific needs that get met in a way that is of value for your clients. I went to your website and I took some notes, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the sale process that you have, SAIL, and we'll have the website in just a moment. But in terms of savoring the journey, that's where the S is for. Talk a little bit about how specifically you guys have taken the idea, the big, vast, we're going to help other people, and really narrowed it down to how we can specifically help your business as a client.
Yes, absolutely. So the sale process is unique to Penon Partners. So Penon is a sailing term. It's a part of a sailboat. And so our CEO, J.C. Laurent, is very clever and came up with the acronym SAIL. And SAIL is the way that we approach our consulting business. It is a framework, it is an acronym, and it helps us to go to the market and go to the client with a framework to say, this is what you're going to get with Penon Partners, and this is what you can expect. And we do a lot of work in crafting the assignment before the assignment so that we're absolutely clear with what we have to deliver by when and at what price.
Yeah, real quick, the savor the journey is the S, act with integrity, improve, and then L in SAIL is for lasting results. Right?
Yes.
All of that is a goal and a mission statement and all that kind of stuff, but that's also a part of what you plan on delivering with everybody that you meet with.
Absolutely.
I was I was still over here. You had mentioned, a list of 100 things, and they'd stop at 80. How long would the list be for our show if we got consultants like Penon coming in?
Well, it could be real short. Just get rid of Harper, and things will be a lot better.
I wasn't
Right?
going to say.
You
well,
would
and
improve.
then
You'd
step number
SAIL,
2, get rid of
yeah.
Steven, and then
that's
you'll
a
just
part of it, maybe. Yeah.
So for those people who are not surfing the web but sailing the web,
I like it. You're thinking.
That's a good one.
How can people get in touch with Penon Partners?
Yes. They can go to our website, penonpartners.com.
Penon.
Yep, Penon, just like it sounds.
Yes,
right?
just like it sounds,
Okay.
partners.com. We also have our LinkedIn page, and they can contact me directly. B. Gordon, Gordon, at penonpartners.com.
And just to be clear, I know we are Gwinnett Business Radio, and we really focus on this area in Metro Atlanta, but Penon Partners, obviously being an international firm,
Yes.
anyone in the United States, anyone overseas, anyone looking to expand, anyone looking for any of those pain point areas you were talking about in finance, IT, human resources, they should absolutely reach out to you.
Absolutely, in operations. And we also have a deep bench at Penon Partners. We have a handful of full-time consultants like myself.
Yeah.
We also keep consultants on our bench in supply chain, in marketing, and some of the other functions. So when we're out there talking with potential clients and they say, hey, I've got this supply chain need, we have a fully vetted person on the bench, maybe doing something else at the moment, but we can bring that person in. So if you are someone that wants to get into the consulting arena and wants to be part of Penon's bench, you can also contact us, and we can go through that process.
So if I'm a lefty in logistics and I've got a really good curveball, and you're always looking, aren't you?
We're always
for
looking.
talent and people that can help you grow.
Absolutely.
That should be on your business card, lefty in logistics. I like that. Brad Gordon, the human resources practice leader at Penon Partners, penonpartners.com, B. Gordon at penonpartners.com. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Harper.
We'll be right back right after these messages.
Steve and Ashley finally got their twins to sleep through the night. But the thought of saving for 2 college tuitions kept them up at night. That's why they decided to meet with their Regions banker to build a Regions Green Print plan, a financial roadmap personalized for what matters most to them. Now Steve and Ashley are confident in reaching their goals for today and tomorrow. Start building your financial confidence with a Regions Green Print plan. It's free, and it's only from Regions Bank. Visit regions.com to find a branch near you. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Celebrate December at Buford Corn Maze. This December, the Lighted Forest Tour transforms your holidays into a magical adventure. Wander through dazzling lights, enjoy the festive atmosphere, and create cherished memories with loved ones. For thrill seekers, the Scream Zone is back with a spooky holiday twist, perfect for adding a little excitement to the season. And don't miss their special events, including fireworks shows on select Saturdays. It's the ultimate way to light up your holiday nights. Stay updated on hours, events, and more at BufordCornMaze.com. Your December wonderland awaits.
Stephen loves a good corn maze, and
Amen.
I love what Subaru of Gwinnett does here for the show at Business Radio X. Located at 2950 Satellite Boulevard, just 2 blocks north of the mall there in Duluth. 470-824-3860. That's the sales. If you're looking for a holiday gift to make someone really happy, either in your home or your business, you can buy, you can lease, you can look at new or previously owned, go to Subaru of Gwinnett. If you're already a Subaruist, you can check out their Facebook page for the latest news, offers, and community events. It's SubaruofGwinnett.com.
Where do they get the big bows they put on top of those cars?
They have a big elf
Who
that's
makes
in
the
North
big
Pole.
bow? I would like to know the company. We need to find the company.
The
that makes
Abominable Snowman
the
does,
big-
Stephen.
yeah.
You know that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the company we do have, and I'm excited to talk to him, Randy Rizor, Dr. Randy Rizor from the Rizor Institute. Dr. Rizor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So the Rizor Institute, Tell us what you guys do and what your specialty is and how you help people medically.
The Rizor Institute it's a coalition of professionals, and we treat high-impact or complex chronic pain. So to understand what we do, you have to understand chronic pain. And a lot of Americans are familiar with that. 1 in 5 Americans suffers from chronic pain. But in that subset, most of them are able to live their daily lives, get on with what they do, function, go to work, function in their family, in their community, and manage it with regular medical means. In fact, the number one reason to go to a doctor is for some pain complaint.
Hey, doc, it hurts when I do
it
this.
hurts it hurts right
But
here.
then don't do that.
Don't do that.
It
I
hurts
love
when
the
you do
answer.
that. Don't do that.
Don't stop it.
About 1/3 of people that have chronic pain, however, suffer from what's called complex chronic pain or high-impact chronic pain. And this is where the pain has gotten to affect their activities of life. So they have limitations with their major life domains, including work, social activities, recreational activities. They can't take care of their family. They've lost the joy of life. And a lot of times that comes with, in spite of medical treatment. So you might think these people have this problem because they don't get medical care. They do get medical care. In fact, they, on average, get 4 times more medication than people without complex chronic pain. So the medical care they're getting isn't working. This condition affects about 17 million Americans, and most of them are in the prime of life. The largest cohort is within the 45 to 65 age group. These are the people that are in their prime working years with family responsibilities, and these are the people that are most affected by high-impact chronic pain. These people spend on the average of $16,000 a year per person to treat their condition with no benefit. So $16,000 a year times 17 million, that means that America spends about $250 billion a year to treat high-impact chronic pain, to treat something with no benefit. These people can't function.
Fair to say it's been mistreated or undertreated?
It's not undertreated, maybe it's overtreated. These people get more medicine, they get more surgery, but they get the
They
wrong...
don't get the results, do
They don't get the right kind of treatment.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they use a medical model that is based on our standard medical model of you find the problem and then you attack the problem and you eliminate the problem, or you find the source of the pain, you zap the source of the pain and everything's fine. Now that may work if you have appendicitis, but it doesn't work if you've had chronic back pain and on your 5th operation. As a matter of fact, the standard treatments, giving more medicine, giving more injections, giving more surgery, tend to make the problem worse.
So is this where we want to talk? Because one of the things we did in our research and the information you shared with us before coming on the air, this is where we probably want to introduce the topic of interdisciplinary pain management, which is something you guys do. And I believe you're one of the only, if not the only, that's kind of working on this. So talk a little bit about interdisciplinary pain management and the approach and what it is the Rizor Institute does differently.
So, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We are the only interdisciplinary pain management program in Georgia that's accredited by the Committee on the Accreditation of Rehab Facilities. And we're one of, I think, just 4 in the United States.
Wow.
So what we do, interdisciplinary, means that you're looking at all the dimensions of the problem that the patient's suffering. As I mentioned, there's the physical dimension. And that's the one where you find the physical problem, you zap the problem, and it's all better. Complex chronic pain, though, has, in addition to the physical dimension, they have dysfunctional psychosocial dysfunction, and they have impairment in activity, so impairment in physical activity, so that you have the pain source, you have the pain, you have the psychosocial ramifications, you have the activity impairment ramifications, and those 3 together form the sort of the millage of things that create the problem. So if you just take the pain piece out, you're still left with the other pieces. So what interdisciplinary pain management does is works with multiple disciplines to treat all those 3 factors in chronic pain.
Randy, would it be fair to say, please forgive me for interrupting, but for example, hey doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do this. But your brain is saying, don't do it also. And when your brain says that, then you stop. So you actually atrophy your muscle skeletal, all those things. But then your mind keeps going, I can't even do anything close to that. So you stop and you inhibit yourself from certain activities. Is that a portion of it?
You got the whole piece right there.
So if I get rid of the pain, my shoulder hurts, okay, well, let's do some therapy on your shoulder. You still may have the psychological impact of saying, you're going to be okay. Start telling yourself you're going to be okay, even if the brain is saying, no, I got to react. You got to outsmart your brain sometimes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Or retrain it. Is that what you're doing?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have the injury, you have the fear, and avoidance, use avoidance that goes with it. That leads to not wanting to move. You don't move. Now you begin to get real pain problems because you get stiff joints, you get atrophied muscles, you have lack of endurance. That creates more pain, that creates more fear. And then what usually happens is you go to the doctor, and the doctor does something like give you a pill. All the pill does is give you side effects, and the side effects from the pill make your anxiety worse. They make your pain.
Oh, well, I'll give you something
worse.
for that. And next thing you know, you're stacking, and right.
Exactly.
So we know that the drug industry in America is quite large. Are you trying to minimize that while you're in? And I'm going to call it an event, whatever it is, because there's several different things that you guys are excellent at examining, treating, getting people to be better. A stroke, for example, or a heart attack, or something very, very serious. Those I would call an event, as well as somebody falls down and breaks their hip. Different types of pain, different types of therapy, correct?
Correct.
Tell us where a person that's going through a certain part of pain, why would they call you, Randy, and ask for your help?
So they're the person that has tried to deal with their pain. They've been to the doctor. They've gotten treatments, and each treatment tends to really not make anything better, but they stack treatment on top of treatment. And then they find that they can't function in their home. They can't function in their community. They've lost their joy of what they want to do. They can't do their job.
So now they've got anxiety. Now they got all kinds of things that they're dealing with in the back of their mind or the front. I'm with you. Okay, please continue.
As if the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Yep.
So it's when those standard treatments don't work, that's when you look for the interdisciplinary approach. So we typically see patients who have had multiple surgeries. They've been to multiple providers. They take a lot of medicine, and they're still feeling bad. So we say, all right, we got to look at a different way. So we start at the bottom, and we address what you said about their fear. What are your fears? What is your fear? What is causing you to avoid different things? What are your physical deficits? You know, you used to be able to run a mile, but now you can't walk up a flight of stairs. You used to be able to throw a baseball, but now you have trouble moving your shoulder. And so we address the physical deficits, and we work on a comprehensive program for physical reconditioning, psychological counseling. And this isn't just, you know, the feel-good type of counseling. This is actually active pain education where these people begin to learn about their problem, and they gain insight, and they begin to take control. You take control of your life back. You're not having the therapist sort of put a Band-Aid on it. You are the one who's in charge, and you're working to build your life
you're
back.
retraining your brain to say, I can again, correct?
Exactly.
Something similar to that.
We're talking with Dr. Randy Rizor. He is the medical director at the Rizor Institute. One thing I want to mention, I should have mentioned it at the top of the interview. You guys are located right here in Suwannee, right in Gwinnett County, so we'll get the exact location at the end of this interview. But I also wanted to just kind of mention a couple of facts and then really just let you respond, let you keep kind of educating us, because I think Harper and I both feel like we're drinking from the fire hydrant here, but it's a good fire hydrant.
He's a doctor and we're not.
Amen, brother. If that wasn't obvious to everyone listening.
So dumb it down for us, us dummies, okay, Randy?
So the comprehensive IPM program, it includes a medical doctor, a nurse, a psychologist, a physical therapist, and an occupational therapist, all doing those services in the same center. That's what sets you guys apart, and what makes you one of only 4 in the country that are doing it in this way. And fully accredited. And then some stats that we've been kind of given. IPM programs in the past have produced results for the average chronic pain patient at a 276% increase in physical functioning, a 45% reduction in pain, an 85% reduction in opioid intake, and a 60% return to work. Now, those are all just numbers. They're impressive numbers, but they're numbers. Can you share a story without giving away confidentiality? Can what do those numbers look like when you're working with people?
Sure.
What are you seeing? How long is it taking? Just give us some testimonies.
I'll tell you a story about a patient we had, a former Marine, was a baggage handler for an airline, hurt his back. Basically went to physical therapy, got medicine, got surgery, was no better. Got another surgery, was no better, got put on narcotic medication, and narcotic medications in very high doses. Got to the point where he lost his job, of course. He lost his ability to drive a car. He had to have a live-in attendant to help him with his activities of daily living. He walked with a walker. And he was sent to us because they were anticipating another surgery and wanted to know, what I thought about the surgery. So we put him in the program. He was taking the equivalent of about 200 milligrams of morphine a day.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Gosh, he's
200
completely
milligrams of
whacked
morphine
out,
a
right?
day.
He's stoned like crazy.
And
wow.
on prescription by his doctor. He's not abusing it. He's doing what his doctor said. 200 milligrams of morphine a day. He walks into our facility there on North Holt Parkway. He has a driver. His driver helps him out of the car. He walks in with a stand-up walker. And can barely bear any weight. This guy's a former Marine. We had him in the program, a 6-week program, intensive treatment, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, and behavioral therapy. And I worked with some very minor medical things, but mostly what I did is got him off his narcotics, and we gradually tapered him down on his narcotics. At the end of the 6-week program, he went out and walked. We have a track that goes around, a wellness trail, we call it. He went around and walked the wellness trail, no walker, walked it by himself, walked out of there. He was on no narcotics. He had, because this was a work injury, he had been declared catastrophic. It's what's called catastrophic because he couldn't walk. It's a legal designation in workers' compensation, and basically declared catastrophic and permanently disabled, was on permanent payments, permanent disability payments through workers' compensation. He left there. He settled his workers' compensation case after being declared catastrophic for several years. Went back and bought a car. And has gotten back to life in the community. So that's the kind of power of a 6-week program, and that's just 6 weeks intensive treatment. The difference between that kind of treatment and what you can get with outpatient physical therapy is 1 hour a week isn't going to do the same thing as 4 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Randy, would it be fair to say that a gentleman like you just mentioned, the former Marine, wanted to get better, probably more than you knew, but the working together so that there are occasions where, well, somebody else told me to come here. That's not going to work quite as well as somebody goes, I don't care what it is. I'm not leaving here with this walker. I'm gonna get better. I need your help, right? That's where you just jump right in, and you and your staff and everybody that's a part of it. That's what we're here to do that with you. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do most patients find you, and how are patients how would you like patients to find you? How do you guys keep doing this and keep increasing the stories?
Well, we get most of our referrals come from the medical community. So it usually comes from a medical provider, whether it's a doctor or a case manager, nurse, somebody in the rehabilitation field who's got a patient who they say, look, we've done it all and nothing's worked. And they know when they're in trouble, just like that patient I explained, multiple surgeries, high doses of medicine. The patient now is, non-functional. So we get referrals from mostly the medical community, from physician practices, and we occasionally will get contacted by people who have a relative or know somebody who is having a problem. And it usually happens when they basically they run up against the wall with their pain medication. We're not an addiction treatment center, and we don't handle drug abuse problems. But a lot of times pain medications are involved, in the issue, and so we have to attack that part of it, and we'll get that. The way we would like it is for people to know if they feel like they have a problem to contact us directly, because we have the ability to get people in directory.
Two questions for you, really. We mentioned a little bit earlier, but I noticed on the website cardiac care and recovery, stroke rehab, pulmonary care and recovery, neurological, orthopedic, and musculoskeletal. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Those are so that to me, I mentioned a little bit earlier. That's like an event. That's some of the group of people that you are in line to assist. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
People that are going through events that take place in their life.
Absolutely.
The stroke, let's say, for example, being one of those.
And we are part the hospital that we work in is a general rehab hospital, and they take care of all kinds of problems. So we will, our Rizor Institute is a wing, if you will, of this rehab facility, where we do specialized pain management problems. But we will take patients with strokes, with spinal cord injuries, with previous severe medical conditions, which have let them into this pain issue. And oftentimes we'll take them from that rehab setting where they were in for the post-stroke rehab or post-spinal cord injury rehab and take them directly into the chronic pain rehab part of it.
This isn't my second question, but I would imagine part of it is I wish I saw you first as opposed to last. Is that part of your strategy?
Just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Well, we try to, a lot of times people think that we're the end of the road, that we're the last hope or the last ditch effort. We can be that, but the earlier you get involved with this problem, when you see it right at the beginning, when the first set of treatments aren't working, the earlier the better for the results, and the outcomes are better, the cost is less, and patients are going to generally get better faster the earlier you go in.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it before rather than after. Well, let's correct the issue. I went on the website and I'm not sure what Salud is. Could you explain that for me so that I get a better understanding?
Yeah, so Salud is
S-A-L-U-D-E.
S-A-L-U-D-E.
It's what Stephen always says to me right before he downs that.
That's a different
the
word.
narcotics
That's
that he
Salud.
has.
Okay,
that's what it is.
Okay. Please, Dr. Rizor, correct him.
First, not last.
So Salud is the skilled nursing facility, the post-acute rehab facility. That's the building on North Holt Parkway, and they specialize in all forms of post-acute rehab. So we are, the Rizor Institute is a wing of Salud. We have dedicated beds within that facility. Salud is a state-of-the-art rehab facility. Its creator, owner, founder had a relative who had been in a rehab facility, and he was appalled at how it looked. It looked like a nursing home. And he wanted to do a rehab facility that looked like a 4-star hotel. And so Salud is designed on that plain architecturally. It's in a beautiful wooded setting. We have, an outdoor environment and an indoor environment. It looks more like a resort than it does a rehab facility. So we're very proud to be based there and for our program.
And we're about to give all the contact information here at the end. I just wanted to ask you before we end this. I would think that we need to have you back because you kind of talked about the way you've set this up. You guys at this point are getting most of your referrals from the medical community that there's no other, they've done everything they can. Okay, let's see what these people can do. And you get into interdisciplinary pain management and that can bring a lot of people back. And you're talking about doing it sooner. So I would imagine the biggest tease in podcast history is there's a whole nother level of this that isn't necessarily 6 weeks or there is a way to do this sooner. Hey, I've just had one surgery and I haven't been able to really get from this knee recovery. Can you help me? And then unlock all these other things to lead to a better life in the prime years of your life. So, is that around the corner? Is there even a taste of it people can get without having it? Look, I'm still functioning. I'm still driving. I'm still working. But I think I want to go down this path rather than going to my second surgery. Is that something to explore? Is that something you have now? Or
we have it now.
Yeah, okay,
so
talk about it.
That's what we have now. So we have recently had a police officer injured in the line of duty, had back surgery, was unable to go back to being a policeman, had basically had a desk job. Wasn't really taking a lot of medicine, was doing pretty well, but he was not happy. His family wasn't happy. He didn't want to live his life that way. We brought him back. We have a program where he was coming 1 or 2 days a week for intensive treatment as an outpatient because he lived locally, and basically went through that program in about 8 weeks and is now back full duty as a police officer.
So there's a lot of different ways people can interact. Obviously, the story of the man in the walker is a fantastic story, but even if you've just started down that path of before you start stacking too much and have too many surgeries, people need to reach out and get in touch of the Rizor Institute. So you guys are located at 601 North Holt Parkway in Suwanee, correct?
Absolutely.
And the website is rizorinstitute.com, R-I-Z-O-R, institute.com. And I've been told you can get, you can email at info@rizorinstitute.com. And Dr. Rizor, thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Harper, we learned something today.
Yeah, I think Mike is feeling a lot more pain knowing the two of us are a part of his show. And if we could eliminate that, Dr. Rizor
Is the pain in his heart, in his mind?
No, it's in the crick of his neck. That's where he gets it.
The pain.
Every time
we
he
are
thinks about
literally
us.
a pain in his neck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you two people who were not pains in the neck at all. Brad Gordon from Penon Partners and Dr. Randy Rizor from the Rizor Institute. They weren't pains at all. We're the pains, not them.
I agree.
I totally agree.
I concur.
I want to thank Dan for producing the show. Harper, I want to thank you for being co-host. And I want to thank Mike for standing up and getting out of his cubicle, which is basically his way of saying you better end the show or I'm going to unplug it. So for all of us here at Gwinnett Business Radio, we want to thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time. And I already said it on Gwinnett Business Radio. So I blew the outro. I'm sorry. See you later, Harper.
All right.